Are you struggling to make your first 100K or next? Are you pretending you're successful but barely getting by? Are you tired of comparing yourself to millionaires and billionaires who make it look so easy? Welcome to First 100K, the #1 entrepreneur voice in America. I talk about the important things that no one else is talking about, like how to make your first $100,000, because I believe this is where 90% of entrepreneurs get stuck. And I tackle the mental game of entrepreneurship that we all secretly struggle with but won't admit. My guests are successful entrepreneurs who share their mistakes, their #1 fears, their daily habits, and their superpowers that push them over the 100K mark. I'm your host, your coach, your friend, Joseph Warren. I'm also a 10-time failed entrepreneur and the owner of 2 co-working spaces here in Tampa, Florida. This show was created for you, the entrepreneur who's pushing to break through the elusive 100K milestone. Wherever you are in your business, you're just 100K away. Do you wish growing a business was easier? Are you feeling frustrated that it's taking so long to make your first 100K? I used to feel the same way until I discovered the one thing that was missing. It wasn't more marketing tips or strategies. It wasn't reading more business books. And it wasn't learning more stuff. I could show you what's holding you back and blocking your success if you like. Typical side effects include higher income, peace of mind, loving relationships, real connection with God, freedom from addictions, purpose, fulfillment, and a brand new lifestyle. It all starts by scheduling a spiritual clarity call with me to get clarity on what you want right now in your life and to see if we want to work together. Visit josephwarren.net/possibilities to learn more. That's josephwarren.net/possibilities. Today, my featured guest is Quinell Dixon, and you can find him at skulliesbrand.com. That's Skullies, SKULLIES, brand.com. Quinell started his entrepreneurial journey about 5 years ago when he was let go from his job as a representative for an online software company. That sucks, getting let go. Maybe you've experienced that. At that moment, Quinell realized he wouldn't allow anyone to dictate his life any longer. Now, check this out. Quinell is Your First 100K podcast listener, just like you. He's one of my raving fans for this show. And Quinell got on the show. Let me tell you that quick story because I think it's impactful. He reached out on Instagram, private messaged me, and wrote this. I love this podcast. I have been, hang on, call's coming in. I have been in business for just over a year and hit my first 100K. Your podcast helped inspire that, Joseph. You are the man. I am a young Black entrepreneur, and I have never made that kind of money in my regular jobs ever. Thanks, brother. And because he wrote such a raving review, I couldn't help but take notice of him. And we wrote back and we messaged back and forth. And then he said, dude, I want to be mentored by you. What do I need to do? And I said, oh, by the way, I have this spiritual coaching program if you're interested. Quinell jumped on board. He's now a coaching client of mine as well. And part of his coaching, I said, you know what? As a bonus, I'm going to make you a guest on my show. But here's the thing. It's not because he's not on my show because of that. He's on my show because he just hit his first $100,000 on Mother's Day a few days ago. And I'm so excited. Quinell, welcome to the show. Go ahead and fill in some of the gaps in that intro, would you?
Man, you did it. You did it exactly how I wrote it out for you. No, I appreciate you, Joseph, and thank you so much for having me today, man. Yeah, as I've been listening to your podcast, I said to myself, I have to hit 100K. I need to be on this show. So you didn't have any gaps. That was great. You did leave out, however, that I am a choreographer as well. So as I work my business by day, I dance, dance, dance by night. But other than that, you hit it right on the nose, buddy.
All right. So, Quinell, let's get into it. Take a minute and share something personal about you that very few people in your business life actually know.
That's actually great because very few people in my business life know that I'm a dancer. They see the embroiderer, they see the dude that's making hats behind the scenes, but a lot of people don't know that I actually dance. So as they go down the rabbit hole of trying to find me, they go, dude, do you know that guy that's dancing? And I'm like, that's me. and there it is. So very few people know that I am actually a choreographer first before I became an embroiderer. So
That's so cool. I love it. I love this story, right? You took that creative hobby, but
yeah,
then you went and said, hey, how do I go monetize this over here? Because being a dancer, that's a really crowded industry, right? And field to really monetize. All right, so let's get right into it. I kind of let the cat out of the bag, but how much gross revenue did your business do in the last 12 months? I just want you to be able to say it out loud to all my listeners in over 85 countries and growing.
yes, sir. As of 2 days ago on Mother's Day, I hit my first 100K in business, and I've been in business for about 14 months.
Wow. That is fantastic. 14 months to your first 100K, Startup Nation. Quinell is a true success story, the real deal. Quinell, what was it like when you looked at your bank account, your records, etc., and you saw in black and white, you crossed over the 100K milestone, and that 90% of entrepreneurs never get to? What was that like for you?
You know what? I actually contemplated that morning. We had had a previous conversation about 100K, and I contemplated that morning looking. I was like, okay, let me look. Let me look. All right, here it goes. And sure enough, 100K was on that board, and it's surreal. Honestly, still till this moment, it's surreal. It's only been a few days, but seeing that 100K, I felt like, you know what? I have some type of credibility now, even if it's not in the world, but within myself, I have some type of credibility, and that made me feel amazing.
I get that. All right. So, Startup Nation, this is why I invited Quinell onto the show. Like, he's a listener that listened to all these episodes of your first 100K. He applied the top 3 tips and strategies. He literally, before he got on the show, he goes, by the way, top 3 tips and strategies, that's my favorite part of the show. I love writing those down because I get to check in and say, am I doing that one? Ooh, that's a new one. I haven't tried that. And it's working. And this is how Quinell has made his first 100K, is by deploying those strategies into his business the same way that you can. So if you haven't been doing that, start doing it. That's why I have these guests on the show. These are real strategies that are working right now, this year, this moment. They're not 10-year-old strategies, 5-year-old strategies, 2-year-old strategies. Many of the strategies are real-time strategies that can work for you. So Quinell, let's get into it. What are your top 3 tips and strategies that you use to make your first 100K in the past 14 months?
You know what? The first one sounds very, very, very easy, and I think it's a statement that that people use, but it's undervalued, and that's get up early, right? The whole saying of like, you know, the early bird gets the worm, I feel like that's undervalued. I think that people use that term as a term of like endearment, and it sounds good. But getting up early looks like, you know, 5, 6 a.m. before your family's up, before your competitors are up, right? Like you're up, you're ready, you're focused, you're zoned in. And I think at that moment, you start to show like the universe, and you start to show like the Lord that you're serious about life. That you want to start early, you want to get up.
What has that done for you in your business? Like, how has that helped you hit the 100K?
You know
Specific.
what? I feel like I'm in control of my day when I'm up early. My target is 5:30 a.m. I start with, you know, morning prayer and give myself a holy hour and giving my time to the Lord first. So that when you start to go through the rest of your day, you realize that you're in control of your day at that moment, right? That you're not up and you're not having a knee-jerk reaction to the day, but that you're grabbing the day and you're saying, you know what? I have control over you because I'm already centered and my body and my mind is already ready to rock.
I like that a lot. So Startup Nation, Quinell is saying start your day intentional rather than reactive.
Mm.
So if you're starting your day not looking forward to like the storm that's about to hit, or like you wake up and you're like, oh man, what's going to happen today? Like that's the problem. That's what you're missing. You're missing what Quinell has, which is he's waking up early. He's spending an hour in quiet with his creator, with his God. That's his belief systems. He's getting centered and he's getting intentional about the day before the day even wakes up. Quinell's up and he's ready. I love it. All right, that's number one. What's your number two strategy?
Number two, stay consistent, right? And again, another practical tip that sounds very cliche. If I can elaborate on it, like staying consistent means days are going to be good, days are going to suck, right? That's just life. I have those days. I think I have more feeling like suck days more than anything. But I think the opportunity of that is when days suck, how do you govern yourself? How do you say that the things that I'm striving for, the things that I'm hoping for, the things that I'm trying to achieve are my driving force to get through the suck, right? And some people call it their why. Some people call it their their motivation. I believe that to stay consistent in my life, my why is my family, and not my family from a perspective of, yes, I just want to make a bunch of money from my kids. But my why is that I didn't come from a family of money, right? I didn't have things handed to me. I remember one story vividly that I was about 9 years old. My mother, I asked her if she can give me some money to go to the store. And I tell this story to my wife and my family all the time. I said, Mom, can I have some money to go to the store? Okay, she may not even remember this. So Mom, when you listen to this, it's probably gonna be a shocker for you. But this is one of those moments where life just hit me. 9 years old, I asked my mom, can I go to the store to get some Skittles or something? I don't know. She handed me her $5 bill and she said, Quinell, go to the store, but please bring me some change back. And that doesn't sound like a big deal, but when your parent hands you $5 and they say, make sure you bring change back, at that moment, you're like that's huge, man. Like we can't spare $5, you know? So at that moment, I don't know. I feel like moments like that are created within your life, they give you the opportunity to say, you know what, there's things that are bigger than me. There's a legacy that I'm trying to leave. There's something deeper within me that wants to stay consistent every day, not a dollar, but for my family and for my generations to come. So.
I really get that. Startup Nation, did you grow up in poverty like I did, like Quinell did, where $5 was stretching the budget? If that's your story, hey, that's your power, right? If you've had pain in your beginning, that's your power. That's your source. That's your fuel to go create a life that you actually want. I remember when I was young, I had three things. I was like, I want my life to be different. I want to be happy, I want to be healthy, and I want to be wealthy. Yeah. Now, granted, that was my childish belief system. And I went and I got it and we did millions, right? In my first business. And I partied it all away. And then I found out it was all a lie. It was empty and I was depressed and suicidal and all that other crap, right? That's why I now do spiritual coaching, because money, true success, real success is about more than just money. And that's really my message in this show. But at the same time, we all want to make some. So you got to get to at least your first 100K. What is your third top tip or strategy? We got get up early, start your day intentional. And then number two, stay consistent even through the suck days. Stay consistent. I so agree. What's your number three?
Number three, I feel like this one's a little bit more geared towards business, right? The first two are practical. This, excuse me, this third tip or strategy I find that worked for me, and I actually didn't even do it on purpose, but I think unintentionally it happened because I listen to a lot of podcasts, I read a lot of books, and finding a specific niche. niching down in whatever audience that you have, like figuring out what product or service that you have and that you offer, and niching down, right? I found, and I think it was the 10 pillars of wealth. It was a great analogy that he had. Well, not really an analogy, but a statement that he had. He said, find a niche, that's step one. Find a sub niche, that's step two. Now find a niche under the sub niche, and that's where you make money. And I thought that was real valuable, because how often do we look at, I want to be a digital marketer. Okay, well, that's great. I want to be a digital marketer that services this age range. Okay, now you're talking. I want to be a digital marketer that services this age range who come from this type of background. Now you're in your zone, right? For myself, if I can just be transparent, as a dancer, I love hats. I'm a hat lover. I can wear a hat every day of my life. I used to go to school with hats. I can walk into church with hats. I am a hat lover, okay? I found that being a hat lover worked into my favor, because as I started my embroidery company, I didn't offer everything. Some embroidery companies offer, we do shirts, we do hats, we do baseball teams, sports teams. I said, you know what? I will do hats and hats only. I'm going to embroider hats only. And I found that to work into my favor, because people who want to wear hats, they come to me. But not only do they come to me for hats, but my sub niche under that sub niche is my customer client base are people who want to wear hats that have real life statements on them, right? Like family reunion, husband and wife anniversary dates, things that really mean something for someone. So I am in the embroidery business of hat making that focuses on customization and personalization. I had to find that through finding and really gearing down on what it is that I wanted to offer to my clientele.
All right. So I love where you just took this. This is where many people don't go. They don't go to the third niche down. And that you did really confirms why you just crossed 100K in 14 months. I really get that. So Startup Nation, niche down first, right? So what does that look like? Find your overarching niche, then find your sub niche, and then I'll put in my words, find your sub niche. And as Quinell said, that's where you're going to make your money. That's where you're going to make your first 100K, your next 100K, etc. Quinell just did it. You can do it too. Quinell, what was the biggest mistake that you've made? Setback, speed bump, whatever you want to call it, in your business in the past 14 months, and how does Startup Nation avoid doing that themselves?
Oh man, I can't just pick one.
Give me the biggest. Give me the biggest, the one where you were like, oh man, what the?
You know what? I think the biggest mistake that I've made in business in the past 14 months is not finding a mentor sooner. Like I have people that speak into my life, and call it being cheap, I think the biggest thing was I wasn't sure that I had a viable business to have a mentor help me through it. I'm like, I'm just kind of slinging hats, and I didn't really believe in the business enough to say, you know what, like my business is credible. My business is something that people want, and my business can bring freedom for my family. I think taking on a mentor shows that real next step in growing as a business. And I never wanted to take that step, because then that would make my business real. And if it made my business real, then that would make what I'm doing credible. And if it made what I'm doing credible, as I hear about all entrepreneurs, they start to either get scared to succeed, or they start to get scared to start. And I think I was scared to succeed by not having a mentor for 14 months.
So what shifted in you where you reached out to me and said, hey, Joseph, I want you to mentor me? Because I'm guessing that took some courage on your end to make that communication. What shifted in you, and how did you get to that place where you took that action?
What shifted is, I think, as I started to see sales grow, and as I started to see my reviews for my customers, I think my reviews for my customers were a huge driving factor that I had something real. right? Customers saying things like, this Quinell is such a great person to work with, great quality hats, speedy service. I'm like, oh crap, now I have to deliver consistently because people are really doing this. So what made me reach out was, just listening to you, listening to people like John Lee Dumas, Andy Frisella, like people who are all saying the same thing. You're not serious until you take yourself serious. And that's been kind of ringing in my head for the past few months. So reaching out to you, I didn't even think I was going to get you to reach back, to be honest with you. I was like, shot in the dark. Let's see how this goes. But then when you reached back, I felt like that was a confirmation that, Quinell, now it's time to start. Now it's time to find someone that is above you and someone that could help you get to that next mark.
Wow. I really get that. I think you're speaking to Startup Nation right now. Why do you think that 90% of my listeners, of entrepreneurs, are struggling to make their first 100K? What's the big thing?
The big thing is the practicality of starting, right? There's a book out there called Start. I read that book and I can't remember the author at the moment, but starting is the biggest hump that we have to get over, right? When you want to go to the gym, everyone wants to go to the gym, especially January 1. Everyone wants to be in the gym. But do you want to get up, right? I work at 9 a.m. Okay, great. Well, I can do it when I get out of work. Okay, great, do it. I'm kind of tired, right? Like start. Get up at 5, get up at 5:30, start. And then when you get there, what happens? It feels great. I love sweating. I love how this feels, right? But starting, I think, is the biggest challenge, yet I feel like it's the most practical when you want to get something started. Funny story about me starting my business 14 months ago. I started on Etsy, and my big thing was, I'm not going to get on Etsy. It's a mom's place for jewelry. Like that's just what it is, And then one day I told my wife, I said, you know what? I'm going to throw a whole bunch of products up there. Who cares? I'm already at my wit's end. I'm not making money in anything else that I'm doing. I've been fired from my company. What else do I have to lose? I started on Etsy, and sure enough, within 5 hours, I launched my website. A day later, my very first order, Joseph, I kid you not, I cannot make this up. My very first order was on January 8th, 2018 for $301. 10 hats have been sold on my Etsy site. I had to look at it like 15 times. So I was like, nah, this can't be real. But at that moment, I said, you know what? In any pursuit of anything that I'm going to do, I'm just going to start and allow things to fall into place how they may. And then you fine tune and you tweak as you move on.
That's a huge success story. I know it sounds small, $300, but what a confirmation. In one day, you validated your idea. See, I look at it this way. It's like a lot of people, they sell one product and they think they have a business. No, you don't have a business until you have repeat clients, right? You got to sell multiple products. And once the clients come back and they reorder, now you have a business. So just that you got 10 hats sold, boom, right there, that's somewhat of a repeat order. Just, it depends on how you look at it. It's one hat times 10. So what a validation for you. I think that's awesome. All right, I'm loving your story. I could keep going on, but we're running out of time here on the show. Let's close this out in this. How do you stay inspired? Because you spoke about consistent action and getting started, and that's great. But many of our listeners, many of the people listening right now, they're already started. They're like, that's not my problem, Quinell. My problem is going through those suck days and staying consistent in my good habits, my work ethics, etc., through the suck days. How do you stay inspired? Like, do you have like mantras? Do you have Post-its up on walls? What do you use? Practical things you use, Quinell, to get yourself to work, do the work, show up on those days when it sucks?
That's a great question. I feel like certain days, different things drive me, but and those different things, those practical different things look like, okay, I want to make a little bit more money, right? That could be my driving factor for that day. But then the next day, that's not going to be the same. Because when I do make that money that day, then what else? What's after that? Another driving factor for me could be, okay, my competition isn't doing what I'm doing. This is great. Let's do it. But then when the competition looks like they're doing something that you're doing, then what, right? I think finding a consistent thing that drives you, and again, this sounds corny and it sounds cliche, but my family, and not just my family, leaving a legacy for my family. I think one of the biggest things for myself is I don't want to leave money to my kids. I want to leave value to my kids. There's a difference.
What does that look like?
The value looks like letting them come to work with dad. I built a trailer, a 1967 Aristocrat Land Commander trailer. I put my embroidery business in it, right? I bring my kids to shows. I make my kids set up. Things that show them that life doesn't have to be lived, or to be successful, you don't have to work for a company inside four walls. You can be a young black dread-headed entrepreneur that's out slanging hats in an old vintage trailer.
And making 100,000 plus a year.
Yeah, you can be that. So it's I think
awesome.
again, that biggest driving factor, man, is I want to leave a legacy for my kids that says dad did something that he felt was valuable enough to do, to give us and create a lifestyle that he didn't have.
Amen to that. So Startup Nation, we're listening to Quinell Dixon. You can find him at scullysbrand.com. That's Scully's, SKULLIES brand.com, scullysbrand.com. He embroiders hats. That's what he does, with real messages that are personal to you, things that actually matter in your life. That's all he does, is hats with personalized, customized messages to you. That's why he made his first 100K, because he triple niched down, and you can do the same thing in your business. If you're not making your first 100K, that's what you're missing. All right, let's get into the hustle round, my friend. My favorite part of the show. Let's go. I'm going to ask you 10 quick fire questions. You have about 3 seconds to answer each. Don't overthink it. It's just for fun. Are you ready, sir?
I dreaded this moment.
Well,
I said to myself, you know what? As people answer these quick fire questions, it's like Jeopardy. I'm going to answer with them. And then when you get in the hot seat, you're like, oh, crap, what am I going to say?
Just be real, baby. Here we go. What's your favorite thing about being an entrepreneur?
My favorite thing about being an entrepreneur has to be the fact that I can pick and choose going whenever I want to and however I want to.
Yeah, I get that. What's your least favorite thing?
My least favorite thing is being able to pick and choose how I go, when I go, because there's days I don't want to get work done and it needs to get done.
Yeah, some days you want a boss over you, like kicking your butt, right? Quinell, what are you most afraid of?
I'm most afraid of passing away and not leaving a blueprint or mark for my family to be guided by. I don't want my family to say, Dad's gone, what do we do now? You know, I want my kids and my family to be like, you know what? He's gone, but you know what? This is what he left. And I think that's the biggest fear that I have.
Got it. Being you just crossed 1 year mark and your first 100K, what did you spend way too much time doing this past year in your business?
I spent way too much time not validating the valid business that I had. Thinking about, okay, this isn't, I'm just a hat guy. No, I'm just selling hat. No, I spent too much time undervaluing the value that I bring to my business.
Startup Nation, is that you? All right, Quinell, what secret fear do you have about people?
That people aren't real. That in the world that we live now on social media, you can look so great on the outside, but you just don't know what that person is on the inside. And I think my biggest fear is trusting people over the internet, because you never know who they are for real.
Yeah, I get that. What do you wish you had learned sooner in business?
I wish I learned sooner to get a mentor. Getting a mentor can help you just with the headache of business, right? Because they've been through it. And if you find someone that's really for you, then they'll give you the tips and strategies and the necessary things, but with mentorship as well, to help you overcome certain obstacles in your business.
Well said. What's a new habit you want to form?
Oh man. A new habit I think I want to form is having a stronger head as I get through more time in my business and in my life, right? Like having a stronger head of, if you don't make a sale today, how do you take that? If you make a sale that you don't feel like you can fulfill, how do you take that? And I want to be able to just be more level-headed and stronger when it comes to my mentality in business and not being so waved by the day.
Yeah, got that. That makes a lot of sense. What's a bad habit you want to break?
Oh man. Next. No. Man.
There's no next on my show, buddy.
A bad habit I want to break is
be as real as you want to be.
Jeez. That's a hard one. Okay.
We all struggle with something. Come on, buddy.
Let's go. A bad habit I want to break is eating too much junk food. I love junk. I'm a chip fiend. My son calls me the chip monster.
Got it. All right. That's a good habit to break. Got it. All right. Pick 3 words to describe who you are now.
Encouraging, tough, and optimistic.
I get that. Pick 3 words to describe who you were 14 months ago.
Discouraged, weak, and pessimistic.
Wow. What a transformation. God is good. All right. And last question. Quinell, if you could come back to life after you died, look your family and friends, your wife, your boys in the eye, and give them only one piece of advice, what would you say to them?
I would tell them that if I did my job right, you have the tools necessary at your feet to continue the legacy that I left you guys.
Love it.
You should have the tools necessary that I left you to continue your life and to continue pushing my legacy and our legacy.
That's right.
That's my biggest driving factor. That's my why, is leaving a legacy worth talking about. Because how often do people leave legacies that are not worth talking about? I want to leave a legacy to my family, something that's worth talking about, and something that's worth being proud of.
All right, Mr. Encouragement, any final wisdom? What's the one thing you want my listener to know about making their first 100K in the next 12 months?
I think the biggest thing in that pursuit is, take days are going to throw you things, right? Believe in the brand that you have, believe in the thing that you're offering, because everything else is going to come with it, right? You're going to figure out how to split test whatever it is that you need to. You're going to figure out your target audience. But the key thing is starting and believing in what you have is going to be beneficial to somebody, because there's value that someone can find in anything. There's dog walking businesses. There are countless things that people sell that make money that you're like, how the heck are they making money in that? But if you believe in the thing that you're offering and you know that it has value, stick with it, because it's going to show fruit in one way or another.
Amen to that. All right, Startup Nation, do you love listening to the show, Your First 100K? Do you love guests like Quinell Dixon? He's my first listener, raving fan that I've invited to be a guest on the show. He's a true success story. He went from, Quinell, excuse the term, but, broke down and out, to listening to this podcast, applying the top tips and strategies, busting his butt, hustling, doing the work, showing up, waking up early, being consistent, niching down for the past 14 months. And literally 2 days ago, he crossed his first 100K. This works if you do the work. See, your life will work if you do the work. That's the key. And Quinell has done it. He's a huge success. So if you love listening to guests like this, then go and subscribe on iTunes to the show if you haven't yet. Write a 5-star review. Write it about Quinell and the value and inspiration and encouragement he just brought to your life and to your business. And if you're interested, listen to what Quinell's saying. Get yourself a mentor. If you resonate with my tough love style and approach, my in your face, the real deal, kick you in the pants when you need it, but know that I got a huge heart and I love you, and that resonates with you, reach out to me like Quinell did. Before you know it, you and I may be in a coaching session and I'm speaking truth and love into your life. It's working for Quinell. He's winning. Don't you want to win? If you do, go to josephwarren.net/possibilities. josephwarren.net/possibilities. And if you're already winning financially and you're making the millions and you've really conquered your business life, but your other life, the life that matters, your spiritual life, your family life is suffering and in ruins, reach out to me for that too. That's my expertise. I'll help you get your life back. So go to josephwarren.net/possibilities and I can help you with that. All right, Quinell, thank you for being on the show. You're an awesome guest. You're a true success story of your first 100K. I personally, Joseph Warren, am super proud of you and what you've accomplished. And this is just the beginning, my friend. This is your foundation. You just built your floor. Now it's time to build the house. And I'm super excited. So thanks for being on the show. I wish you God's love, peace, and joy in your life, my friend.
Joseph, thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
Startup Nation, you cannot show up authentically in your business without building faith in your business. If you want to have that conversation on the faith side of things, go check out my other podcast called Broken Catholic. On that show, I interview all different guests about why the world isn't working right now. Plus, I tackle unspeakable topics that you may secretly struggle with, but won't admit. We got to get your faith right to get your business right. Go to brokencatholic.com. I'm Joseph Warren, and you were made for greatness. So stop being a wuss and start being a winner. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you right back here next week.